Hello, and welcome back to Creator Codes, my fellow creator. You are so powerful. And this episode is going to remind you of the creator that you are and how you can witness yourself in your outer reality through the law of reflections. This is my favorite law ever, and you can call it different things, right? The law of mirrors. You can say, as within, so without, right? There's a lot of different ways and topics around this idea. And when you think of it as a law of the universe, like it actually is a scientific, energetic law of the universe. And that's why it can be very confronting because it's not like sometimes this happens and sometimes it doesn't. The law of reflections is always at play, especially when we're on this path and we're learning more about ourselves and we want to learn more about ourselves and we claim bigger and bolder timelines, etc. We will be reflected back. All right, well, we can't take that with us in the next chapter here. So it's always a fun time, doing what we can to always be better. And it's not easy sometimes, but when we know about laws like the law of reflections, we will have an easier time and we can really decode our reality so we can understand what's going on within. So we can continuously step into that empowerment role rather than being the victim of what is happening around us. So what is the law of reflection? The law of reflection says that everything in your external reality is mirroring something within you. Your beliefs, your emotions, your unconscious patterns, your desires, your wounds, and even your greatness. So it really reflects your creator field. And the creator field is made up of all of these things, right? Everything that's happened, everything you believe about yourself because of what has happened, your actions, your emotions, right? Your most consistent state, your vibration. So your creator field, it's called a creator field for a reason. It could also be called electromagnetic field. You guys have heard me talk about this. This is actually the energy that is the word is coming through is a conglomeration of who you are. And this conglomeration, is that the right word? That's so funny, is what creates everything that happens in your face. So a really simple example just to start is if someone disrespects you, that might be happening so it can reflect a part of you that's still not fully respecting yourself. So here's the thing about the law of reflections as well. There will be certain things that happen and it doesn't affect you at all. But if someone says something and you're like, why are they disrespecting me? And you get triggered about them not respecting you, that is the reflection. It's not necessarily a reflection if something happens and you feel nothing about it. If you feel neutral about it, that's not something that is calling you to shift something within, because if there's, that's the world we live in, right? It's a little chaotic out there. Certain things trigger people, certain things don't trigger people, right? So these certain triggers will show you where you are holding this maybe negative energy about yourself. So it's not about someone disrespecting you and it like not affecting you and you have to look into that. It's if it really affects you, or even if it affects you a little bit, even if it's a little bit of a trigger. So fun times. Another thing, if someone admires you, it could be mirroring a part of you that you are finally starting to own. Okay. So it doesn't have to be all negative, but we like to use the law of reflections in order to decode certain things that are holding us back. That's how I like to use it, especially when things feel hard or like it's just uncomfortable. When you can use this law, it will help you discover what's underneath the discomfort in order for you to, I want to break free. Nellie's staring at me. In order for you to feel into the innate freedom that you are, but like what's getting in the way of that. I just posted a video on Instagram about you don't it reminds me of love. Like if you're seeking love, you're telling the universe, you're telling the energies, your own energy, your creator field is saying, I don't have love. I'm not love. And it's not believing in the beautiful divine love that you are. It's just like freedom. You don't need to seek freedom because you are freedom. What's in the way of that? What's in the way of the love? What's in the way of the freedom? You have it all. You got it all, baby. Okay. And these reflections can help you discover what's in the way of these beautiful innate states that we already are. So what reflections look like in real life? I got to take a sip of my kombucha. It's blueberry ginger. Refreshing. Okay. So triggers are a really, really big one. I already said that word like 8 times and I just got this episode started. So when it comes to triggers, this could look like something where a person annoys you, where you just like, oh, you see something happening in your external reality and there's a person and they're annoying you. It's something that really bothers you. This is reflecting a part of you that you've rejected or have not integrated. Okay? So if someone is making a decision that you would not make and you cannot let it go. It's like, what? There's something there about the need to be in control. Maybe it's your energy of, maybe there's like a lack of control that you have over an area in your life. And by being triggered about not having control over someone else's life, this is actually showing you that like, oh, there's something that I just am not loving right now in my life. And I feel like I don't have control over it. You see how this works, right? And so always invite yourself to experience the emotions. It's not about like, oh my God, you're crazy for being triggered, because it's just a reflection. It's really important to experience what happens when you are triggered and when you're seeing these things, these people in your face, so you can have the understanding of what that emotional charge is and look at where it's coming from within instead of projecting it outward. Another thing that's reflected to us are the patterns that we hold. For example, why do I keep attracting unavailable people? Maybe you're emotionally unavailable to yourself. So do you see how it's important to really see what about this person or situation is making you feel a certain way? Like, what is it? Oh, they're unavailable. Like, why is it that I keep attracting unavailable people? They're emotionally unavailable, right? Something like this. Well, maybe there's a part of you that is wanting for you to experience more of the real, true, raw emotions that are moving through you for yourself. Are you emotionally available for yourself? Right? And it really takes slowing down to kind of ask yourself, like, oh, interesting. What is this? And it is helpful to go to the 8 areas of life. Let me pull those up again because I think I've talked about them on the podcast. I definitely have. But I want to go over them again because it is pertinent with this episode. Okay. Areas of life. I have it written down. I just don't want to miss one here. Okay. So there's 8 areas of life. And the reason I'm bringing this up, like I said, it's pertinent to this episode because when we're being reflected something, say it's in a relationship, it's not necessarily the way you are in relationships. It's reflecting to you something you're holding in any area of life. A lot of times it's not in the same area. Maybe it's like your career where like you're really feeling hard on yourself and then you're being reflected that when it comes to a certain relationship, they're being hard on you, but it's actually you being hard on yourself when it comes to your career. Do you see how it's a different bucket of life? Just because you're being reflected something when you're dating, for example, doesn't mean you need to shift the way that you are in dating. It's actually your perception of yourself probably in a different area of life. So once again, Earth School is so fun. But this is how we decode it, is we take the time to reflect on the reflections. Okay. So the areas of life, we have vocational, mental, physical, family, social, financial, passion, hobby, and spiritual. Okay? And so they all play off of each other. They all reflect different areas as well. And this is the fun game of life. As long as we're human, we're always learning how to balance these areas of life. When they are unbalanced, we will be reflected in another area of life, in particular, an area that matters to us most. So fun. So for me, I've had a lot of emphasis on my financial and spiritual, and I would say mental. I don't know. They're all important, but right now those are kind of the ones. And that is where the reflections come through the most. So where you put the most value, your most attention, that's where the reflections will come through, because your higher self is like, oh, they're really paying attention. Like they're really focused in on this area. So we're going to reflect back in this area. Even if it's an imbalance in family, it might come through spiritually, if that makes sense. Okay. So, yeah, and also you can gain reflections in admiration. So when you are admiring someone, I wish I could be like her. You already, in some way, shape, or form, are like her, because when it comes to the laws of the universe, you cannot witness something in someone else if you don't have that within you. Or you're being invited to embody that. So when you really are focused on something and it's bringing something out of you, especially if you're like wishing you could be like that, that is something where you just have to have that reminder, like seeing that in someone, allowing that to be inspiration, and a reminder that like, oh, I have this in me, because literally I would not be able to witness this in someone if I didn't have it in me. Now it goes the other way too. If you're like, oh my God, they're really selfish, is coming to mind right away. Maybe there's a part of you that is selfish, and P.S., we're all of it. If you are denying that you're selfish in any kind of way, and it's not about being bad or wrong, it's just that we all have all of these different attributes. And they come out at different times in our life. They come out and, we have certain balancing out to do at certain times. But allowing yourself to see yourself in others is really, really interesting when you just kind of zoom out as your higher self, as source, as God. And you witness these other people as like a piece of you, and these attributes that you're noticing. If you can own those for yourself, that's how to neutralize it as well. Because when we deny, oh, they're selfish, I would never do that. Well, would you though? Maybe you have in the past, And so it's taking responsibility, not beating yourself up and not being like, oh man, it's just the way that it is. We all have all of it. We are all of it. In all the good, bad, ugly, beautiful ways, and everything in between. We're all of it. All of the colors of the rainbow, including black and gray. I don't think black and gray are in rainbows, but I digress. Okay. And then another way that reflections can come through in real life is through opportunities. So when doors suddenly open for you, it's reflecting your alignment and your readiness. So maybe that happens after you've realized that you've been beating yourself up so much, and you're seeing yourself as someone who needs to get their shit together. Constantly telling yourself, once you do this, then you'll have this. Once you do this, then you'll have that. The door's not going to open. Sometimes you'll get a little pity blessing, but just to help balance out and neutralize the energy if you're like way too, on one side of the spectrum. Again, laws of the universe, law of balance, right? Law of polarity. The universe is always trying to neutralize and balance it out. So if you're constantly beating yourself up, you're going to get some pity things once in a while to help balance that out. But that's not something you are truly like making happen in the way that would stick, if you know what I mean. So if you're constantly in the energy of beating yourself up, you get a little pity thing once in a while. Okay, great. Happy for a day, but then the same pattern happens. So it is important to uncover these things that you're holding so you can have these opportunities open up for you, and they will. It doesn't take a long time either. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes a day. Sometimes, and it really is so cool because it's all about your perception of yourself. It's not about changing your whole entire everything about yourself. Yes, actions do matter, but that's only a small piece of the puzzle. They do matter. They really do matter. It is a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole thing. A lot of times people focus on, I need to just go to the gym in order to love my body. It's like, wait a minute. That might change your body for a certain amount of time or temporarily or a little bit. But when you get to the root of actually seeing that you've been beating yourself up so much, our body stores fat to protect our organs from the negative thoughts and beliefs that we have about our physical bodies and just about ourselves in general. It doesn't have to be about our bodies. If we're like really hard on ourselves, you're going to store more fat. So if you're going to the gym as the answer to that, yeah, it could help in some ways, but it's not going to stick if the underlying root cause, if you're still beating yourself up, if you're still at the gym being like, run, bitch, you're so fat, that's not going to help overall. It's not going to help in the long term. It's not going to shift your creator field. It might shift, again, it'll shift it a little bit with the action. It's a beautiful, positive action. But if underneath that action, you're telling yourself all of these horrible things, those horrible things are going to outweigh the little action. And you're going to get tired and be like, why isn't this working? And then, the whole pattern. So that's just a little tidbit there about being hard on yourself. This is something I'm working towards. I'm actually storing extra fat right now in my body. And it's been a lesson for me to really see, to be reflected back. Girl, there's still some things underneath. And it's interesting because it's not a conscious thought that I'm having of, Cassie, you are a piece of shit. But when I slow down and I feel my energy, I'm like, ooh, yeah, it is an energy that's hard on myself of not doing enough. And then I get headaches as well. Headaches are being too hard on yourself. And that is all a reflection. The reflections come in your physical form for sure. Like I'm talking about the fat on the body, the headaches. Those are protection mechanisms from your body. Your body's like, hey, let's give her a headache so she can slow down and maybe close her eyes and just have a little meditation time to realize she's been kind of hard on herself. And it doesn't have to be a consistent thought of, Cassie, you're doing something wrong. Like I don't have those conscious thoughts, but it's been like a little bit of a program underneath. And so I've been shifting that, and that's my work that I'm doing right now. And I'm feeling a lot better. It's shifting, it's moving, and we're grooving, baby. But I know these things happen so I can pay attention. And so I can teach about it too. So you're welcome. You're welcome. So When you realize that life is a mirror, nothing is personal. And that gives you power. You're not a victim of your reality. You are being shown something always. When I moved to Sedona, this goes with me being hard on myself. My roommate ended up being so hard on me. That was one of the worst experiences of my life. It was kind of like hell on earth. Because when you just want to go home and it's like your sanctuary, I couldn't have that. I didn't have that because he lived here. And he had these this is what I'm pointing out here. He had unrealistic expectations of me. He wanted us to have silent hours. Not quiet hours. I was like, I'm totally down for quiet hours. But he meant silent hours. Not a peep. Nothing. Like, don't breathe too heavy, okay? And it was insane. It was insane. And so do you see how I'm talking about him? That's a reflection of how I was treating myself. I had insane expectations of myself. I was being hard on myself. I was treating myself in ways that made me feel like I couldn't be at home with myself. I couldn't feel at home in my home, right? So we see how that's a reflection. And it's a masculine energy, although we're not going to talk about how masculine he actually was, but he's a dude, right? And it's just so funny. Like, one of the first things he said to me was, I don't really get along with other men because I've integrated my masculine and they are intimidated by that. And I didn't know him at that point, so I'm like, oh, interesting. That's actually great to hear. But turns out that was not true. But it's interesting because he literally, it's so funny. Like, the reflection is real. I, at the time, thought that my masculine energy was all whatever, healed and sacred and perfect and whatever. But he, as the masculine in this household, was not allowing my feminine to be free, right? I felt like I was living in a freaking hellhole. So that, it's interesting because now I have so much, it's shifted so much since then. It's been about like 9 months since that. And so much has shifted in my own masculine energy because of that reflection. So I am at this place right now where I do not ever feel like I am a victim of my reality. I don't ever feel like something is happening to me. I always am asking myself, how have I created this? How have I created this? What in my energy is creating this? And it's not about being like, oh no, like, why am I doing this to myself? It's just reflecting on these reflections and seeing everything as an opportunity. So especially when things happen that really get under your skin, that is a perfect opportunity to grow. It's a perfect opportunity to shift your creator field in a way that you will be able to see yourself more clearly. You'll be able to witness reality in a way that is helpful. It's not something that's working against you. And it's beautiful. This is when life actually becomes your pal. And it's like a video game, but you're the player. You're not just the character. A lot of people are walking around as the character, being like, what's happening around me? I don't have any control, but we have the controller. So let's have fun with it, right? And when things happen, it's not about being the victim. It's not about this is happening to me and everything out there sucks. They suck. I'm being treated this way. It's how am I treating myself? And when that shifts, when that internal reality shifts, the external reality will show you that, period. That's when the doors open. That's when you step into that radical alignment. So, quick practices for you. You can ask, what is this showing me about me? What is this showing me about me? When I get triggered, when something really gets under my skin, I'm always asking myself that. And I'm telling you, it just helps. Like, it helps ease that pain and that trigger. And then another thing you can journal on is what you're judging in other people. Like, that is a big one because that's kind of where the trigger is from, is like, they shouldn't be that way, right? So what are you judging about someone else? Usually that's something you're judging in yourself. What are you craving, right? Where does that live inside of you, right? If you're craving for love on the outside, how can you actually embody that love from within? How can you instead reach for it on the outside and see if someone has validation for you? You're being called to validate yourself through being the embodiment of love and just seeing yourself as so beautiful and loving and as love. And thank life for showing you these things. Thank life for showing you more about yourself. This is how we do actually like shadow work out in the world. It doesn't have to be dark and scary, and you don't have to go into like this deep hole of like shadow work, because your shadows are being revealed when you are experiencing life on the outside. Anytime you get pissed off, anytime you get triggered, you're angry, there's something in there that it's showing you about yourself. A lot of times it's grief. A lot of times it's certain things that you haven't fully processed, and that's okay. And that's okay. And you can do that for yourself at any time. And when you're living life, it doesn't have to be this thing that you do on the side. You incorporate the law of reflection into your everyday life. So to wrap up here, you don't have to be perfect to get the reflection that you want, but you do need to be aware. So what you see in others is always showing you more about you. And that's where the magic happens. That's where you can really start to see things in ways that are very enlightening. And even if it feels so hard at first, it becomes easier and easier the more that you practice. What is this mirroring back to me? And what part of me is showing up in order for me to give that part of me more love? It's usually just judgment of self. That's a big thing, is judging yourself for not doing enough, for not being enough, for not doing the right thing. If you're constantly feeling that way about other people, you're really being called to just see where you are really feeling like that underneath the surface. And again, it doesn't have to be a conscious thought. It's usually an unconscious program. And sometimes that's programming from years and years and years. But this is how we uncover it. When we start to love that part of ourselves, we start to rewire the way that we start to be in the world, to show up, and our creator field changes because we're more aware. Even just having the awareness is going to shift your creator field when you get out of the victim mentality of things happening to you, and you knowing that this is literally the best, like my favorite creator code. This is creator codes. This is my favorite creator code to share, because this is underneath it all. Always, no matter what is happening. And again, it's not about blaming yourself, but it's about becoming curious, and it's like being the scientist of your life. So reflect. I invite you to reflect. What is life showing me? You know, if you've been constantly feeling a way about something on the outside, about where you live, about other people, how they treat you, about money, right? Any of the areas of life, what is that showing you about yourself and how you actually feel underneath the surface? That's going to help it bring it to surface, especially when you journal on it and you take some time with it. It's going to show you more about yourself, so you can start to have more of the reflections that feel so beautiful to witness in your outer reality. When you feel that peace and when you release that judgment from the inside, you're going to have those reflections that reflect that back to you. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any feedback, if this really resonated with you in any kind of way, please never hesitate to email me. I'll drop my email below. Send me a DM on Instagram. I love to hear your feedback. Feel free to post it on your stories, share it with a friend, and thank you for subscribing and for being here. It just means so much to me that I'm in your ears and that you're spending time listening to the things that I have to say and to share with all of you. I am sending you so much love. I'll see you on the next episode.